The city follows on from the fort, and it's the second book in the Second Trilogy, but really the fifth book overall of the Flavius Ferox saga. And this time Ferox is far, far from home. He's travelled around the empire in the past before Vindolanda starts, but this is taking him a long way. He's gone right out onto the Euphrates, the frontier area, with the great Parthian Empire somewhere to the east, but also lots of local kingdoms like Osroene, which is where much of the story will feature. So this is another story where Hadrian is there in the background, and this time it's also about a siege, but this time Ferox is with the Romans who are outside the city. They're besieging the city of the title, Nicomedia, the city of victory, hence the City of Victory trilogy as the sort of subtitle for the second three books. And it's all about a different type of siege warfare, because this time the Romans are the ones facing very sophisticated, well-made Hellenistic fortifications, a strongly positioned city that's got caught up in a war that's not of its own making, that's got caught up in political ambitions of the royal house of this kingdom, and ends up with the Romans attacking them. The Nicomedeans don't want this, but nor do they want to give up their home without a fight. So this book is very much a tragic story. It's about a war that isn't really necessary, that has a lot to do with ambition, partly Hadrian's, partly other people's, and turns into the slow siege and eventual capture of a city, the massacre that follows, the cruelty that follows, in the end for no good reason. And it's about people like Ferox and Vindex and Bran and the others who are trying to do the right thing, are trying to live by their own code of honour, different though it might be to modern concepts of this, and yet they're doing something that they know is wrong, but it's a question of, would it be worse for them in terms of their honour not to do it? Do they have any choice? Again, one problem always is that Claudia Enica, Ferox's wife, has appeared in the fort and has done all sorts of heroic things, but she's got political ambition. She wants to be acknowledged as Queen of the Brigantes, and that needs Roman support, and the Romans are suspicious of some of the things that have gone on. There's been some dodgy stuff. They're particularly nervous of a strong and rather martial woman. So Ferox has that being held over him by Hadrian. He can help his wife only by going into exile, only by doing what Hadrian tells him. So again, it's a mixture. As I say, I don't want to give away too much of the plot in any of these, because it's a shame. You don't want to know what's going to happen. That's not what a novelist should be doing. So whereas in a history book, I can assume that everybody knows Julius Caesar is going to be murdered at the end, with these novels, I can't give away too much. Otherwise, it spoils the surprise. So this is a book about a different part of the Roman world and beyond the Roman world. And an interesting side strand I've got is that, again, like the fort, this is told from two viewpoints. There's Ferox's viewpoint, but there's also the viewpoint of a Roman deserter who ends up inside the city helping the defenders. And he's been sheltered by a Jewish family. So that gives me a chance to look at what was Judaism like in the generations after the destruction of the Great Temple in AD 70, and before really the Talmudic works have been set down, that sense of developing, of changing the religion into something that doesn't have, for the moment at least, a central temple. What would it be like? What were their attitudes like? And also, what was it like to be a part of a community that had elements within the Roman Empire, elements outside? And we've got one of the characters as a former rebel who's fought against the Romans. There's this sort of cantankerous old man that I rather like writing. We've also got the Roman deserter has deserted the army because he's been accused of being a Christian and he won't deny it. But he's managed to escape. So it gets us a little bit of a chance to look at the early church. I've always found it slightly depressing that most fictional representations of the Roman Empire, and particularly the Hollywood take on the Roman Empire, nearly always took us towards gladiators and Christians. And there were lots of other people in the ancient world. So on the whole, I've avoided them. There's a few little hints early on, but on the whole, I've avoided them. So this was a chance to explore them in a context, and it's inspired in part by the finds at Dura Europus, a city that was sacked by the Sasanian Persians in the 3rd century AD, very well preserved, where we found a synagogue decorated with wall paintings, where we found a Christian baptistry, but evidence of them rubbing shoulders with each other and all sorts of other religions as well. So it was trying to look at a different type of community living in the ancient world that's near the Romans, near the Greeks, but is distinct. So this has been fun, and it was also looking at that siegecraft. How did it work? Both the fort and particularly the city in a sense, can be read as well, just how do you go about doing one of these things. So it's a Ferox adventure, but again, hopefully something a little bit different. Ferox doing much the same as he's done, but in a different place and having to do other things as well. And I hope that makes it an interesting addition to the series.